Hey, welcome back to the Relentless Positivity Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Martin. I got a great guest today. Her name is Tess Scott, and she's been through a lot in her life. And now she's using all these experiences to encourage women of all ages that they are not alone. They're going to have a little hope in their life. So, Tess, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me on, Joe. I'm really excited to do this.
Absolutely. So, something that encourages other people that they're not alone is that they too have embarrassing moments. So I thought we'd start off. I was reading your book. It's a great book, by the way. We'll get into the book, but it's full of embarrassing moments. But could you kind of share maybe like your top two most embarrassing moments in life? What a way to start, right?
Yeah, what a way to start. And just to make me kind of go down to only two. I mean,
That's
there's so
tough.
many. How do I
That's
pick
tough.
two? Maybe I'll talk about this, the probably one of the most memorable. Let's talk about that. So I'll tell just a little story. As a background, I had just started a new job at a local internet company. We did home internet and fixed computers and iPhones and all that kind of thing. I am the least techie person. So that is not why I was hired for that job, for sure. I love people, so they put me out front. I'm organized. I'm a good office manager kind of person, but I can't tell like a modem from a router, any of those. See, I can't even say the word. I have no idea. So I'm really good at saying I don't know, but I'll find someone who
There
knows.
you go.
Yeah, but I did feel really dumb in that job. So, and I'm not dumb. I have to keep reminding myself of these things all the time, like keep bringing it in. Who are you? You are not dumb. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. So I always tell women to keep your head full of what's true, and you are not the circumstances that you're in. But that day, that's how I felt. So I was getting ready for work, and my sister-in-law called and said, hey, we're in this big problem. We have people coming for the weekend and my daughter's throwing up and, has the flu. So I said, oh, awesome. I have empty rooms. Like, bring them on here. They can stay in my house. So after we talked about a few logistics, I hung up and I thought, oh my goodness, I have to clean up my house because there's people coming right after work. And, so I ran around like doing the 2-second tidy, throwing all baskets of things in closets out of the way and remaking beds, washing sheets and all that kind of stuff. And then I hit something called the space-time continuum. That's what I call it. I don't know what you call it, but it's when you have tons of time and then 1 second later you have no time.
Yeah,
Has that ever happened to you?
all the
Yeah,
time.
all
Yep.
the time.
Yep.
So I went to reach my black pants for work. I only had one pair. I just started this job. I couldn't find them. And then I'm trying to think of where they might be. And I remembered, oh, I think I washed them. They're in the laundry. So ran down to the basement, grab them out of the laundry, come back up, start to put these pants on. And oh my goodness, they shrunk. Also, I had just started this job where I sat down a lot. So, maybe put on a few pounds. I'm older. It happens really fast. Like you eat one chocolate bar and shoot 5 pounds, just like that. Like wait till you're older, you'll understand. So anyway, I'm trying to put these pants on, pulling them on, like, oh, like it was terrible. And then lay on the bed to zip up the zipper, like suck it in for all you're worth. Meanwhile, I got to get to work because I'm the one who opens the door. Okay. So I cannot be late. Finally get these things on. I'm walking straight legged because I cannot even bend over, but I have no choice. Get to work. And I'm supposed to sit on this stool at work at the front counter. I can't sit on it. I can barely bend my legs. So I'm propped against the stool for the entire shift. And like, I'm sure every person who saw me thought, like, what is wrong with this woman? I didn't eat any lunch because honestly, like one more bite of food or a
Yeah,
drink
there's
of
no room,
water,
right? There's no room in
there's
there.
no room. It's probably
Yeah.
going to pop my button and someone's going to get hurt. Um, plus, I don't know. I couldn't even think about anything else except getting these things off. Then my new boss came in, first time ever met him in person, brings us into this conference room for a meeting. I'm looking at these board chairs and I thought, I can't sit down. So I'm just going to stand up, which made everyone, I'm sure, feel uncomfortable, but I was the most uncomfortable. Also, I had to pee really bad. But there's no way I could go in that bathroom because if I get these things off, I'm not gonna be able to lay down on that tiny little bathroom floor to zip them back up. Like there was no way. So finally, like the end of the day comes. I'm watching the clock thinking, oh Lord, please let this day be over. I get home, I race right for the bathroom. I'm sitting there, like sweet relief, I can tell you. I'm looking at the label in the pants and I thought, H&M. I don't buy pants at H&M. And then I realized My son's pants. I had a 12-year-old son and I wore his pants to work. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's not his favorite story.
I'm sure. Yeah, mom
Hey,
wearing your jeans
yeah.
is not good.
Mom wore your jeans to work. Yeah.
Well,
Not
what
his
makes you feel
favorite.
any better? One year I dressed up for Halloween as the song "Low" by Flo Rida. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but he talks
No.
about apple bottom jeans and he boots with the fur. So I had my boots with the fur. I had some jeans and I put some apples in my pockets. And then I
Yes.
was gonna get low, like the song says, and I blew out the seat of my pants. I got low, but the apples were too tight in the pockets and it made the cheeks of the jeans way too tight. Man, that was one of my favorite pair of jeans. Blew them out right there.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right. So, yeah, so that's my jeans embarrassment. So you had, what's your second one? That's a pretty strong start right there. How are you going
I
to
don't
top
know,
that one?
there's lots of embarrassing times, but I think that the most the most important thing that I'm learning is to kind of like embrace that, right? Because it's just all fun and who cares? I mean, maybe my son cares, okay? But the lesson in this is that if you are a teenager or a 12-year-old boy, you should always bring your own laundry out from the laundry room,
There you go.
right? That's the lesson right there, in there.
Yeah.
One of the lessons, one
I
of
just
them.
washed my son's AirPods the other day. He left them in some clothes, and I was like, "Oh, let me throw your clothes in here for you, bro." Oh, sorry. Luckily,
Yeah.
they survived. Thank goodness,
Oh,
because
good.
he can't survive without his AirPods. So luckily, they made it. Those things are tougher than they look. So yeah,
Yeah,
but you should
that's
wash your own stuff, right? That's a great lesson. So that's one we're learning too.
yeah, yeah. I like to pass those things on to him. He's not all that appreciative. He's the youngest of eight boys.
Oh,
So he gets lots of lessons. I'm always saying, like, well, you're brothers,
yeah,
you're not my first one. I like that one. I say that one a lot. Yeah.
yeah. Been through seven of you. I know how this works.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah. My husband says, there is nothing that you can do that either your brothers haven't done or we haven't done.
right.
So you have no chance of getting
Poor
away
kid.
with
He can't do
anything,
anything. Yeah,
you know.
poor kid.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So I've talked about it. You've been through some difficult times in your life, and you've gone through these storms and figured it out. So just kind of, if you want to go through some of those, and how did you make it through, and the lessons you learned from those, and you're using those now. So how did you get through them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, everybody goes through lots of things in their life, right?
Sure. Right.
So I have sort of like I always say like a black sheep kind of past where I've been married a bunch of times. I'm not Elizabeth Taylor, but I've been married like four times. And yeah, that's something. And also, like, we adopted a son who ended up being a special needs. He has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So, that's something to deal with, not just for us, also for him.
Sure. Yeah.
We didn't expect that. They don't tell you that when you adopt, or they didn't tell us that when we adopted him. So we got to find that out later on. Um, Also in 2016, so my husband had left in 2012, which is probably the hardest thing that happened in life for me, because I had been through this a lot of times, and I was finally like living for God, and I thought everything was all figured out. And when he said that he was leaving, I was devastated. So, my head was in the green carpet of my bedroom. I was like begging God, like, don't let this happen. Oh my word. Like, not just do I not want to be a single mom again, I don't want my kids to go through this. I don't want the shame of it. Like, it feels shameful when it happens, Um, but it did happen. God allowed it to happen. And now I'm thankful that that happened, because that made me have only God at that time. So I learned a lot at that time. Like, that's all I could do was breathe some of those days.
Sure.
That's it. And while I do not want to go through that again, or anyone else to go through that, I can be thankful for it now. And then 4 years later, 3 years after our permanent divorce, my husband reappeared, and our relationship was reconciled, and we dated, and we got married again. So we're
Okay.
remarried, which is a freak show story for sure. And what a great thing for our family, right? And we have so much fun. But a month after our wedding was September the 9th of 2016. And the end of that month, the 30th, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh.
And that felt like really bad timing to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's ever good timing. Like, what's the best cancer timing in your life? I don't think there's good timing, but it felt like really crappy timing, because like, I'm happy. I have a great husband, we're like in our honeymoon stage, and bam. So, but now I can look back and I can say that timing allowed Rick to prove that he loved me. He didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know it was going to happen. And he got to take care of me and just to be there for me. If the timing was different and I got sick and then he wanted to come back, I would have probably not allowed him to. I would have always wondered if that was why. Is it just because you feel guilty? So I think that the timing is actually the best timing, and I'm good now. So we got to live through that together and kind of go down that journey together. I'm thankful for that timing. Those are the things. And now we have like this marriage that is so fun. We play games every day, and like we have just a weird, fun, wacky kind of marriage. And it's really amazing.
So let me ask you this. So you're permanently divorced. What's
Yeah.
the first step of you guys getting back together? How does that start?
Yeah. Well, I sent him a text about our son. And normally, like we only have one together. So I had four sons, adopted one son. Like I got pregnant the first time when I was 19. I've been a mom forever. It feels like it's a long, long road. And so I had four kids, adopted one, and Rick had two kids. So now we have seven to get when we came together. We had seven kids. Odd number. Never do an odd number.
No.
So then we thought, might as well do one more. That's not actually true, but we did have one more, and he's a boy too, and he's 18 now. So I was texting Rick about something to do with Hayden. I forget what it was, and he actually answered me, which was bizarre because he's not a fighter; he's an ignorer.
Hmm.
So when we weren't getting along, or not even not getting along, we never really even fought. He just kind of didn't talk anymore. That's just, some people are like that, right? I'm a talker. He's not a talker. So it's good because only one of us can have all the words, and it's usually me. So he started answering me back, and then some dialogues, and then that was weird. I thought, this is weird, but I mean, I'm glad. Like I prayed every single day for those years that he would come back, except the time like I was dating a really hot cop. I didn't pray it then, maybe, and that's when we were divorced. But most of the time, I was praying that he would come back. I still always loved him. And he started answering just like sort of friendly. And then one day he picked up my son to go to a basketball game, Raptors game. And he asked if I wanted to go. And I'm like, what? Do I want to go? A, it's a basketball game. Yes. And B, like, this is weird. So I went with him, and it was like an hour drive each way. So we had good conversation, and just felt weird. And then just little things happened. Like I had to ask him to pick up Hayden because I had to go to take the car to the mechanic. And he said, oh, I'll pick you up from there so you don't have to get a ride home. I'm like, what are you doing something nice for me for? But okay, and it was just like little tiny steps. And I think maybe he was like kind of testing the waters,
Yeah.
and he didn't know what my life was like my social life or anything, and which was nothing. So yeah, I just left the door open, right? And he says now it was easier to come back and be together because we never had the kind of relationship, like even when we were broke up, we never told other people that person was an idiot. I might have said idiot a couple of times, but I mean, like there was no bad, I don't know how to say it. Like we didn't bash the other person.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah.
bash the other person. We never spoke badly of the other person in front of the kids. And we never bashed the other person on social media or in real life ever. So that makes it easier to reconcile that relationship in the end.
Yeah. If you know that someone called you an idiot on Facebook, you're probably like, I should marry that dude again.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's probably
no.
not going to happen. So you've been through all this, divorce, remarriages, all these things, cancer, parenting, all this step parenting. How did you decide, I need to take all the experience and start helping some women who may have seen through this whole thing? How did that start?
Yeah, I really felt like it's a God thing. I really felt that God was telling me to do this, and I didn't want to. I want to say right now, like I was like, no, I don't want to do that because it's very vulnerable. I share with honesty, like my mistakes and my past and all the times I screwed up, or a lot of times I screwed up. There's probably more, and all of that. And who wants that, right? It's like being open, but there was no getting away from it because I knew in my head, I have to do this. I felt like God's telling me to do this. Then I would like read something and it'd be about that. And then I would, I don't know, hear a song on the radio and it was about that. Then I'd go to church and the pastor's speaking about that. And it's finally like, okay, I hear you, I hear you. So I started just writing stories, like writing blogs. And I've never written before in my life. And that was part of my excuse for not doing it. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know how to write. I have a grade 12 education. I'm not a journalist. I have no idea, but I'll do the next thing. I went to a ladies conference and the speaker's name was Carol Kent. Have you heard of her?
I have not. No.
She's fairly well known Christian author, speaker. She has a bunch of books and quite a life story. And it was a big ladies conference. It's a couple hundred women there, probably before COVID, in the time before time. And I'm sure that woman looked right at me. And this is what she said. I'll never forget it until I die. She said, "You know what God wants you to do, and you are scared. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the answer." And I thought, right on, give me the answer, get me out of this. And she said, "Do it scared." Really? Okay, well then, since you're talking right to me, then I guess I have to do it. That's what
Well,
it felt
that's
like.
great advice for anything right there. It's
Yeah,
hard, don't get me wrong, but that's great advice.
yeah, yeah.
That's cool. So you started that, you started with the blog, and it's led to now you've got your book coming out. So tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah, so the book is a collection of short stories. So it's really easy to read. They're only like maybe a 2-3 minute read each, because sometimes as a parent, as a mom, you only have like 2 minutes in the bathroom before someone's going to open that door.
Sure,
I
yeah.
understand that. I've been there for years. I understand that. But you also need to be encouraged. So some of the stories are funny. Most of the stories are probably funny, and some of them are sad, but they're all true, embarrassingly a lot. They're all true, and they all have a little kind of lesson what I learned during that time. So hopefully it's encouraging women. That's what I want to do. And I want to say to women, like, you're not the only one. We've been there. Like women that are like maybe older, more experienced, have come through that time when, yeah, you can't be alone, or whatever the things are. You never get a full night's sleep, all those things.
Yeah, just knowing that you're not the only one, it can be a huge comfort. Even if it still sucks in the moment when you're going through it, it's just know
Yeah.
that, okay, well, she got through it, I will too. Just knowing that. So that's great for you to share those. Most people, they have those embarrassing stories that we all have, but they don't tell anyone about it. And you really put yourself out there in this one,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
people
And
appreciate, and then you share, here's what I learned from it. And you can learn from it that way. You don't have to make these mistakes. I've already done these. You can skip the line on this one because I've already done it.
or if you do, then misery loves company or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So let's talk about this. So you've been a parent and a step parent. What are the differences for you? What are you seeing far as if you have tips on raising stepchildren versus your own and mixed and all that good stuff? How does that work?
Oh man, yeah, step parenting is really difficult. Being a stepmother, and I blame Disney for this, right? The stepmothers are always evil
Yeah,
in every Disney thing, but step parenting is it. I mean, I love my stepsons and I've known them since they were like 4 years old. And now they're like 30 years old.
wow.
So 28 and 30. It's hard because you love them like your own, but to be honest, it's not exactly like your own, right? There's this little thing that is not exactly like, I love them to the moon, but it's not exactly the same. You don't have that same connection as their mom has. And especially when they still have a mom, like
Yeah,
it's not like their mom has passed away. There's all kinds of struggles. There's always going to be, and there's always those other people in their life, right? Even though my boy's dad and I are divorced, right? Like well, they're not teenagers now, they're older in their 20s, but their dad and I are divorced, but he's always in my life
hmm,
because we share these kids, right? So that's kind of advice I would give. If you're divorced, you have to get along with those exes because they're always going to be in your life if you have kids together. That you're going to have grandkids someday and you're going to be at that birthday party, or that kid's going to graduate from high school or college or wherever and want both their parents there. So we've always said there's not going to be two birthday parties, there's one. and all the grandparents can be there and we get along. Like I get along with them. We have great relationships. Like it's really great. And I think it's great. The kids say it's great for them, the kids that are, I still call them kids, and they're like 28, 30, 35 years old, the kids, but because there's no stress, we go to the birthday party of the grandkids and we all sit around talking and we're all friends. And that's, that's really a blessing to them, I think.
Well, that's awesome. That's being a mature person right there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm that guy. If I had to be, I would be, but maybe I could be. So good on you guys for working together on that and putting the kids first. That's the most important part.
Yeah. And it didn't happen overnight. I mean, it wasn't like that the year that we split up. Okay. Don't hear me say that. It took a long time and it took some forgiveness, right? Like actually working through it, coming to that, like I came to that woman and said, I need you to forgive me for these things. And she did. And like Rick's ex-wife comes to our church now,
Oh, wow.
right? So this is how it works. And this is going to be the title of my second book, is going to be Girlfriend, Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is, I think. And because I was on a podcast, a step parenting podcast, and I was talking about forgiving exes and them forgiving you, and just exactly what I was saying to you about being, you're always going to have them in your life. And, and I was like, oh yeah, it's no problem and everything. And then the very next day, my husband's first wife called me and said, we're going to switch churches and we're thinking of coming to your church. Is that okay? So
Wow.
it is okay, but it's also weird at
Mm-hmm.
first,
Sure.
right? And I said, it's fine. It's great. I'm like, please come. I'm not going to introduce you as Rick's first wife though, because that just feels weird. Like,
Yeah.
can I just say, hi, this is Marianne, my friend, so that's kind of the compromise that we came up
Yeah.
with. And that's what she wanted anyway. She's remarried, but yeah, it is kind of weird sometimes, but I'm really thankful that we get along and we worked through the hard parts of it. And I mean, she gave grace to me. I'm so thankful for her.
That's awesome. Well, my dad's move is to introduce my mom as his first wife, which they've never been married to anyone else but each
Yeah.
other. But that's his move, just to invent. And as you can imagine, she is not a fan of that. But
I bet.
yeah, that's my dad though. He's pretty hilarious. So
It's
so
funny.
when does the book come out, and how do people get it?
The ebook is out right now.
Okay.
Everywhere books are sold, you can download that. And the paperback version is launching on June 14th
June
of
14th.
2022. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And the name is Listen, Sister, Finding Hope in the Freak Show of Life, which is a strong title right there.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a suitable title for the
Yeah.
book.
Well,
Yeah.
it's very well done. I've read the book. I know how painful it is, how much
Yeah.
effort it is, and you're probably like me. You don't know where commas go or any of those, and you just throw them. I sprinkle commas out there like I'm making it rain. But there's people for that who can fix it, right? So,
That's
and
right.
you're planning on doing another one too, man. You're a sucker for
Yeah.
punishment right there.
Yeah. I love it. I love encouraging women. I
That's
love when
great.
I can share my story, and I also speak, like do some speaking engagements with groups of women, and now like more because we can meet in person for a little while. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. And I'm in Canada, so anyway, but I love when I share something and then a woman comes up to me and says, wow, that's me.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, or I've been there. And I think that right now, this is so important because when I was young, like a bazillion years ago, and I talked to my friends, I had some good friends, and I talked to them either in person, I'd go to their house, or I'd call them on my rotary dial phone, and I saw their life for what it really was. And it was chaos, like
Right.
mine, right?
Hmm.
We were similar, and their lives weren't perfect. But now I see this generation of women, and they connect with their friends on mostly on social media, right? And if you're connecting with people on Instagram and that's what you think their life looks like you look at that pretty house with the little pumpkin on the porch, and you think like, oh my goodness, look at this woman's life, it's perfect. I'm going to tell you that that is not the truth. If
Right.
you open that front door and walk through to her living room, there is probably laundry on her couch, just like your house,
Absolutely.
right? But we don't know people maybe as deeply as we should.
Yeah. If you don't have stacks of laundry around your house, I'm not sure I trust you. I'm not sure you're a human.
Right?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. So I just want to be honest about it and say, yeah, if you have little kids, it's okay if your house looks like you have little kids.
Right. Yeah.
You do. It's all right. That's
Yeah.
okay, right? And the work that you're doing right now while your kids are running around is important work. It's important. You're feeding into the lives of those kids and you'll get through it. You'll live through it. It's going to feel really long. Days are like 1,000 years long sometimes, but you're going to get through it.
Yeah. It really is true. They say the days are long, but the years are short. You know, you think,
Yeah.
man, how did I get through this day? And then next thing it's 3 years later, and you're like, oh, here
Yeah.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's true.
you're doing an awesome job of encouraging people, specifically women. So they need to go check you out. Go to her website. I'm going to link all this stuff in show notes. But Tess Scott, TessScott.com. She's got her blog over there, a bunch of stuff. Her book's going to be on there. So, and I'll put all the social media links. You got to follow her and stay encouraged. Stay in touch with Tess. Tess, thank you so much for coming on and what you're doing out there in the world.
Oh, thanks a lot, Joe. I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay. Thank you.